Okay, to start this possible exercise in futility, I'm starting to do what I call a personal podcast. I don't expect anybody to listen, watch any of this stuff, but obviously everybody knows about journaling and writing how you feel, all that stuff. But I like talking. I have a hard time writing. I generally fall out of it pretty quickly, and I have a million started notes and notebooks and journals, and I just never keep up with it because I tend to not be able to write as much. So I figured, well, I had bought this Yeti microphone, of course, a couple years back for a school project, and ended up failing the class, but oh well. But at least I got a cool microphone out of it. Good excuse to buy some $100 microphone. Oh, I'm getting it for school. Why not? But I've never had good uses for it. I've always intended to put together a family chronicle of interviews and stories from my family, and just have a record. And I have a lot to do. The few journals I actually do have are of all the stories my grandparents, my parents tell. And my thing with it is I'm a big believer in the oral tradition. And I feel like nowadays, because everything is so exact and it's so easy to see what original was because of photos, video, and just internet, it's so easy to know exactly what a certain story, how it actually happened. And because of that, I feel like the beauty of the oral tradition is lost because, back when stories were only passed from person to person, every time it was retold differently and had this added, that added, and it became a rather beautiful collection of ideas. And yes, it may not have been the original story, it may resemble nothing. But there's a certain beauty in the way memories change and how stories and details change as other people tell them. And I feel like that's being lost nowadays because it's so easy to see what the actual story was because it's a video or it's a photo and you know exactly how it happened. So even though your memories just biologically are generally change over time as certain bits are lost, and then your brain rewrites them when you're done, and you pull them back up. It's getting lost, and I actually have quite a few what I call the secrets to a happy life, and one of those is to not worry about being wrong, because everybody hates it, being wrong generally. A lot of people really hate it. And I found that if you can get over that, there's a lot of benefits. One of which is, it helps you learn because I love learning. I think it's a very useful thing, and I feel you're always learning, and there's always something new to learn. And if you get butthurt every time you're wrong, then it might prevent you from learning the correct from what you was wrong. So it can get in the way of you learning the correct thing. So if you can be okay being told you're wrong, this is correct, well then you can learn you're correct. But if you get upset by the fact that you're wrong or kind of rebellious or whatever, then you miss out on a chance to learn. And there's also sometimes a beauty to what you got wrong. And that's where it goes back into oral tradition. Is you can, it's just, the little details here and there. It's like there's this one story my family always tells. My little brother, he was real young at my great-grandpa's funeral. And my great-grandpa was in the military, and so they had the, gun salute. And honestly, I can't remember what the initial version of the story was, but the way my family has always come to tell it is, they're firing off the guns, and my little brother, it's like 5 at the time, turns to my mom and says, "Why are they shooting Grandpa?" Obviously, I do not believe that's what he initially said, but my grandma retells a story of that he was really scared and freaking out because he thought they were going to shoot him, and he didn't know why, which again is even farther from what I'm sure actually happened, but there's a beauty to how that's changed, and it's just kind of cool. Like, you see this, and you can see when people are telling these things, like, because my family always told that, and that was the first time my grandma told it, and you can kind of see that she was, not entirely sure, and was kind of, filling in the blanks of what she remembered us telling the story. And obviously that's where a lot of urban legends come from. That's usually the modernized version of the oral tradition. Is a really good podcast I always listen to, Stuff You Should Know, that has an episode about that. But I like the oral tradition, and I like telling stories. And I like getting things wrong. I always have a rule that, whenever I say a certain story of, these 5 birds, what's a better example? Let's see, like, we'll just go to the classic example. This fish was 5 feet long and it was actually 4.5, or maybe just 4. I find usually when I say something happened, if the number is like less than 5, I always add 1, and then like if it's more than 5, I seem to add 2, and it's just it grows. You always exaggerate. Everybody does, and you exaggerate in your story. Then that person heard the story, then may relay the story and then exaggerates a different thing, and then it's just kind of funny in how everybody tries to ump up the story, and even you tell a story once, and the next time you tell it, it might be different, and I think it's really cool. So doing this, I want to, this personal podcast is what I'm going to call these, and posting them in case somebody might stumble upon it someday and think, wow, that's a really cool idea. Is to just kind of do a public, just verbal diary or whatever, verbal journal, and just kind of like just express my ideas, just like say what I feel, and not any person specific, just me, my feelings, and my thoughts and my opinions, and here's what I think, and just kind of for people that just aren't good at the writing and things like that, and just best through verbal have a way of just saying what they think, seeing how they feel, because obviously as saying and talking about things, especially verbally and out loud, usually it's best if you can find another person that's very respectful and of a conversation. You can so much better form your ideas and your opinions once you have to kind of justify and explain and fill in the blanks, essentially. And I found, in good people that can have a good conversation, even if they're opposed views, it so helps you understand your own beliefs, because you suddenly have to explain why this is this, why I think that, why this is, and it just helps you better understand your own beliefs and become more in your beliefs, thoughts, opinions, and maybe you find out like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. I think that. For example, most of my life I've always hated dogs. Like I've just been a cat person. I've never liked dogs. Recently, I'm actually been on dating sites, and all the girls are like, oh, I love dogs. I love dogs. It's like, why do I hate dogs? What am I getting out of hating dogs? Like, yes, back in high school, I was that guy that hates everything, and I enjoy things by hating things. I'm not that person anymore. I try to generally enjoy life, because I find if you enjoy the little things, it helps fight against the negative bads that are gonna happen. But I was just thinking, like, why is it worth hating dogs? What's the point in hating dogs? What am I getting out of this? And I mean, I've known several people that have had terrible permanent injuries thanks to big dogs and dog attacks and stuff. My sister is a vet, and she's still 3 years after her first week. I don't remember the breed, but some big dog like ripped her hand apart, and that was 3 years ago, and she still has pains and damage and stuff. She can use it, she can function daily, but she still has pains from it. It's like, just why would you have the animal as a pet? Like, I'm sure maybe that will ruffle somebody's feathers, but I'm not a big risk taker. I don't like a lot of risk in having an animal that could potentially do that. I don't like being around that. But smaller dogs, little ankle biters, chihuahuas, I prefer not to be around them. But it's like, is it really worth hating? I still don't like being around pit bulls and big dogs. Golden retrievers are fine. They're friendly enough. I still also kind of don't like when they come running up to you, jump on you. A celebrity is like, because I don't think I'll ever fully like dogs. So it's like, it's pointless to just hate. And see, this is a perfect example of I'm just kind of rambling and talking, which is exactly what I want to do with this. If I don't want to follow a certain point, I have a certain topic in mind when I start recording, but I just kind of want to talk and just talk and explore, and if somebody watches this, listens, and cool. I don't know why you really would. If someone does watch, it's the only thing I want them to really get out of it is the idea of maybe I should talk, maybe I should write, and maybe I should just explore it, have an outlet for my thoughts, like externalizing my thoughts. And generally, when you externalize your thoughts and things like that, since there is a whole nother step to doing it, you do generally have to further detail and explain, because your thoughts are so quick and all that. But when you have to write it on a page or like explain it to someone, then there's so much more of an effort to justify what the thoughts are and to have a reason for why the thoughts are. And that's kind of just what I want to do here, is just kind of say what I'm thinking. And I'll probably do ones like if I see a movie. I generally see movies every Tuesday. Celebration Cinema over here in Michigan, they have a special deal where tickets are half off for most movies on Tuesdays. So my whole family usually gets together and go see movies. So I'll probably, if I come back from the movie, got nothing to do that night, I'll probably record reviews. There won't be any specific, every movie I go, I'm going to record something. I want to record as much as possible just so I can, talk and just, put out feelings. And I'm probably not going to talk about, any major, it's not going to be a diary. It's going to be, kind of, it is public at the end of the day. But I just kind of want to, talk and explore. And so obviously I won't drop names most of the time. I won't put too much details out there because I don't really like putting that much out there. But I will generally talk about things in a roundabout sort of way, and I'll explore usually, like, if there's something major or bad or something, I'll kind of talk about, the generalization of that stuff. But don't expect me to tell you all my deep secrets. I just kind of want somewhere to talk, and it's honestly for me. That's kind of what this is, a little personal podcast, just for me talking, and that's what it's going to be. I don't know what the quality is going to be over time. I don't know how long I'll do it. I just kind of want to do it as much as I can because I enjoy it. I enjoy talking. It's one of my favorite things in the world is to explain things, which, believe me, my family and friends and stuff, like, okay, we get it. Yes. You could stop talking 5 hours ago. I do. I love explaining things. I like talking about things. Like, I once gave my dad an hour and a half lecture on the basics of copyright law and all the certain case examples and stuff like that. And maybe one day I'll record that one. Yeah, that's just kind of what I want to do here is just talk, and and that's about it. This will probably be the first one. I'll record them as I go when I feel like talking about something. So, yep, the idea behind a personal podcast right here up front, and there we go. This is done. Well, if you want to watch another one, listen, whatever you would consider it, sure. But, if you like this idea, feel free to try it yourself. I hope you enjoy it.